Welcome back to SleeplessRonin Plays. Today we're going to be playing a full, complete playthrough of a cooperative HorizonZeroDawn game. In my last video, I messed up a few small rules. I'm going to correct those this time. Okay, one major rule I messed up, but a few small rules. And I'm going to run through the cooperative game, and I'm going to try to go the whole distance, all the way to the Sawtooth. See if we can't do this. Because I had never used them, I decided to play the Oseram Forgesmith and the Carja Warrior. Both their cards are laying out on the tabletop already. And we're ready to go. The event deck is up in the top corner of the screen, but I just put that out there to show me where on my camera everything's being shot at. It's not going to be used because you do not use the event deck when you're playing cooperatively. Glory also works far differently. No one's going to receive suns this time. We're just going to try to get through all the missions and eventually take down the Sawtooth. That's our goal. A few things will not be shown on camera, like I'm going to skip merchant phases. I'm going to do those off camera, just make them pop and go really fast. And same with leveling up. We're just going to try to play this as fast as possible, as quick as possible, and cover as many rules as possible. I want to show off something I did find, though, that I found very useful. I found these cards online. They were either on Board Game Geek or they were on the one of the HorizonZeroDawn fan pages of Facebook. I can't remember exactly which one, but I found these to be really useful. They're double-sided. You can print them off. You can put them in card sleeves if you just put like an old magic card or something around it. And they're great. They're gonna give some hits. If I had used these in the last video, I would have not made the mistake I made. They actually blatantly say exactly what you do on these cards. So yeah, it would have been a really useful if I'd had these before I made the last video. It would have been excellent. But let's get going. So first thing we have to do is we have to create our deck. Okay, that's ready to go. So let's draw the first three that our hunters are going to choose between. In a cooperative game, the hunters choose as a group. So we have the three cards. We have Strider and Watcher with 2 victory points. We have Strider and Watcher. That's the same one we used in the first video. And we have Strider and Watcher. I never seem to draw the one that has the scrapper in the first go-around. I don't know why, but I just don't have that luck. I think, because I'm trying to complete this whole thing, I'm going to play the exact same scenario again, because those 2 points are really good, and the additional equipment off of that also really good, especially in a cooperative game, because I want to have my hunters beefy. So I need 4A, 2A, and 6A. We're still playing the 1 and 2 player side. Okay, that's our board set out. We're covering over the cards and stuff at the bottom, but I don't really think that's going to be a major issue. Those are the exact same positions they started in the last game. Got my 2 hunters. The Oseram is interesting. He's all about fire and melee. The Carja is sneaky, nimble, and kind of also melee-ish. Her ranged weapon's not too hot, so let's kind of set up like the way I did beforehand. We're going to have the Oseram go ready to go beat up the first Watcher, and he's going to be the leader in the beginning. All that happens in the cooperative game is the leadership token is swapped between players. So you essentially just pass it around the table during every campfire phase. So each person's going to be a different leader on the different turns. So because you're playing cooperatively, it's not really so matter. There is no fledgling token used in the cooperative mode. There are my hunters. They're on the battlefield. So we're going to start by looking at this card again, because this is really nice. With the, see here, right here. Begin the leader going clockwise. Each player performs in order a hunter step, an enemy step, and a maintenance step. If I'd read this card, I would not have made the mistake I made in the last game. This card made that very clear. I don't know how I missed that, but I did. But yeah, okay. The interesting thing about the cooperative mode also is if one hunter faints, we fail. So our hunters have to work together very cooperatively to overcome the machines. We cannot have anybody faint at all, because we have to then rush to our ally and help them off the field. So we kind of abandon the hunt if anyone faints, so no one can faint. The other thing about these two characters is they have different size decks than the Banuk and the Nora. The Carja only has a 14 card deck. It's small. And the Oseram has an 18 card deck. He's beefy. So on the Oseram's first turn. I have drawn 5 cards. And I'm going to look at them. Let me not forget the other small thing I forgot last time. They start with a salvage card. Yes, let's not forget that. Their salvage card is also interestingly different. The Oseram has Blaze, and the Carja gets Chill Water. Now my hunters are ready to actually begin their individual turns. The first turn is going to be taken by the leader, or the Oseram Forge Smith. I'm going to be doing what I did with the Banuk in the last game, and I'm just going to declare a melee attack targeting the Watcher adjacent to me. So I select my weapon, the Oseram Maul, and I'm going to use some ammo. I have this really cool ammo called Cleave, and I'm going to play it. The Cleave provides a blue die and crits for 4 damage. I have 2 orange die, which are already my critical rollers, so they're ready to go. If I wanted to, I could discard a Blaze to cause fire, but I'm not going to in this instance. I'm going to save my Blaze for now. This is only a Watcher. With those dice and a possible critical of 4, I'm looking at doing some significant damage. I'm going to play no action cards to go on top of this. I'm just going to move in and attack him. Five damage. Again, a non-alert Watcher has no armor value. So I hit the Watcher for 5 straight damage. Watchers have 4 health. This Watcher dies. We gain 1 encounter point. We gain a glory, which they are useful still. They can be used to help people cycle cards back into their decks. And we gain a salvage card. That is the end of the hunter activation part of the leader's first turn. Now the enemies activate. None of their special abilities are triggering, and the way the enemies activate is the enemies closest to the most active hunter go first. Well, they're both 3 spaces away exactly, so it really doesn't matter. The Watcher is closer to another hunter, so I do believe it would still go first. The Watcher is not alert yet, so the Watcher merely moves. It moves 1 space along its patrol route. The Watcher does not become alert because I am not adjacent to it at the start of the enemy step. Then the Strider moves. Then we go to the maintenance phase. No one's fainted. We don't fail. And we still don't have 2 encounter points, so we need to fight on. I will begin the Carja's turn. The Carja draws 5 cards. The Carja's first action is going to be remove the machine wreck and draw 3 salvage cards. 2 sparkers and metal shards. Now the Carja is going to attack the Watcher. In this case, the sling doesn't seem to be advantaged, so I'm just going to have the Carja make a melee attack. Carja into the square, and use the Carja halberd. I have no additional dice to add, so just going to roll blue and an orange. Oof. Well, we did 2 damage, and we have alerted the Watcher. However, I am going to play the card Hit and Run. After resolving attack, this hunter may perform a free sprint action. So I'm going to move the Carja away. Now we go to the machine step for the Carja's turn. Right now, we have an alerted machine. The alerted machine is a Watcher, and the Watcher has Warning Call. While this enemy is alert, any non-alert enemies in adjacent squares become alert at the end of the activation. Enemies alerted this way do not activate this turn. So we don't need to worry about that yet. Instead, we need to grab the Watcher's AI card and read it. Non-alert enemy within 2 squares. Yes, move 1 closer. No, move 1 towards the closest hunter. So, the closest hunter, they are both 2 away again. The closest hunter is, therefore, by order of priority, the Carja. The Watcher moves there. So, the Watcher does not have a melee attack in range, which is why I ran away, and, therefore, is done. The Strider is still not been alerted, so the Strider will simply advance along its patrol route. Then we come to the maintenance phase. Again, no one's gone unconscious, or no one's fainted, and we don't have enough points to win the scenario. Thus, we'll begin with the Oseram once more. I'm going to start playing this a lot faster, not talking as much, so we can get through this thing. I take my Carja's hand, look at the cards, and draw 2 more to go up to 5. I'm well loaded on my hammer. So my Oseram is going to... My Oseram is going to sneak, and then he's going to make a melee attack. Because, again, I don't want to alert it, and if I'd sprinted, it would alert it. So I'm just going to sneak, and I'm going to make a melee attack. And while I could try to knock off the blaze canister, it's only got 6 health. I'm going to see if I can't just literally pummel it into the ground in one blow. Oseram Maul. And Cleave. If I get a critical, it's dead. Ooh, only 3 damage. Now it is the machine step, and both machines are very angry at me. So, I go with the machine nearest the most active hunter, which is the Oseram. The Strider, I forgot to do one thing. As soon as the Strider becomes alert, it moves 1 square towards the closest enemy. Remember, enemy equals machine right now. So actually not in the same square as my Oseram hunter. We're going to use it first because it is closest to the most active enemy, or most recently activated hunter. So now I read its card. Is there another enemy within 2 squares? Yes. Move 2 towards the closest hunter. So the Watcher's within 2 squares, so the horse is going to, the Strider, is going to move towards the closest hunter. 2 squares. He just returns to where he was. Then he makes his attack. Does 4 damage. The Oseram has a blue die for defense. Blocking 1 damage. The Oseram takes 3 damage. I have a lot of the same ammo card in my hand, so I'm going to discard 2 of that, and then we discard 1 card off the top of my deck for the 3 damage I've suffered. Now, the Oseram's armor allows me to choose to not dodge if I don't want to. So I'm not going to dodge. There's no need to at the moment. Then the Watcher goes. No, there is not a non-alert enemy within 2 squares. Move 1 towards the closest hunter. Makes a melee attack of value 4. The Carja special ability is, when making an evade roll that contains only orange dice, you may roll an extra orange dice. Then you discard a single die of your choice. Well, it's 1 orange die. I'll roll 2 orange die and see which one's the best. Well, they're both a 1, so I take 3 damage. I'm going to discard 1 card from hand and 2 cards from the top of my deck. Then the Carja has to dodge. They don't have an option. Thus begins the maintenance phase. No one's fainted so far, so now we move on to the start of the next turn, the Carja's turn. The Carja will draw 2 cards, and I got a very convenient card. My Carja could go and help the Oseram Forgesmith deal with the Strider, but instead, my Carja is going to actually deal with and finish off this Watcher. The Watcher's done some damage, and the Watcher just needs to be ended. It's a small, weak machine, and if we turn it and if we dismantle it, it's gone, and everything's better. So, in that vein, my Carja is going to just take a melee attack. I'm not going to do anything else beforehand. Just going to melee attack using my Carja Halberd and Silent Strike. It's ammo for the Halberd. It's a very cool card. So, my roll will now consist of 2 blue dice and 1 orange dice. That's a very powerful hit. Wow, I just barely killed it. That is not what I was expecting to roll. I do destroy the Watcher, though. 3 damage, minus 1 for its armor, is 2. It taken 2. It now dies. So, I gain a glory. Then, we get 1 card. And, because the card is getting so low on cards, I'm going to choose to take my last action as Craft. I'm going to take the bottom 3 cards and shuffle them into my deck. We move on to the machine's turn. We have an active Strider. This time the active Strider, look at the AI card. There is no enemy within 2 squares. Move 1 towards the closest enemy. There is no enemy. I'm already the closest hunter, so I simply make a melee attack doing 4 damage. Again, we have blue dice for the defense on the Oseram. Blocks 2. Oseram only takes 2 damage. This is okay. So now there's a maintenance phase. We could, if we wanted to, declare the end of the mission. But the Oseram's like, no, we got this. We can beat this thing up. Let's keep going. I'm still plenty healthy. Let's go on. If we kill this thing, we get good salvage for all of us. And I ain't made very much salvage yet so far. So he's going to draw 3 cards at the beginning of his turn, because he only has 2 left in his hand. He's going to begin by just making a melee attack. He's already in the same square, so he doesn't have to go anywhere. So he's going to play the Oseram Maul, and he's going to apply a backswing to it for 4 orange dice. Okay, we can use either the critical on the backswing, or we can use the critical on the Maul, which produces fire. But the critical on the backswing guarantees us 1 damage. That would give us 4 damage. It has an armor of 1, and we need 3 more health to kill it. So we'll take the 3 damage off of it, and we'll destroy the Strider. Fortunately, we didn't get the other piece of salvage, but the Oseram Hunter will get that glory. It doesn't need the glory right now. We'll get the salvage card. More blaze. There are no enemies left. We succeed at the mission. It's time to move on. Each of our hunters will get 2 additional cards from the salvage deck before we go into the purchase phase. Cards for the Carja, and cards for the Oseram Forgesmith. Good and done, and we're going to move on to the next conflict. I'm going to do the purchasing off camera, so after this small, we'll be back for the next section. During the last campfire phase, both of my hunters leveled up, and in doing so, the Carja decided to go down the route of Prideful. This hunter may discard 1 glory point to reroll an attack. If the reroll attack destroys a component or kills a target, this hunter gains 1 additional glory point. Spend a glory to reroll? Sounds like a good idea to me. During the merchant phase, the Carja also bought a Rattler, just for future use potentially, a resist melee wave to attach to the armor, and a shock coil to attach to the Carja halberd. The Carja's deck limit also went up to 16, but I bought no cards to actually add into the deck, so I have to go to the stamina pile. Stamina cards are just filler cards that allow you to draw a card at any time you want to play it. It's in there so you have the full health of the warrior. My Oseram decided to go down the ablative armor route when he leveled up, allowing it to discard a salvage card when making an evade roll to roll an additional blue die. That could be really useful at times, and I just think that having the ability to spend a little bit of salvage cards, because I saved a few left over from the last battle, and turn them into potential damage mitigation could be a good idea. He also bought a resist melee weave and some shock wire to add to his tripcaster, because in the last battle, I never got a single piece of ammo that would actually fire with my tripcaster, so I thought I'll spend one in order to get a bit more of that. The Oseram has also increased his deck size from 18 to 20, but since he bought 1 piece of ammo, he only adds 1 stamina card in. Also, to complete the campfire phase, I moved the leader token over to the Carja, who is now first player. Now I move on to the encounter step, where the leader is going to draw 3 new encounter cards, and then they collectively choose one to play. The encounter cards are a level 1 one. That's pretty simple and doesn't seem all that great. We have 2 level 2 ones. I think that because this one has the machine corpses on the field already, I'm going to choose this one right here. I like having machine corpses already on the field. Ruins, our new token on the battlefield, provide an interesting advantage to us. If we're on a ruin and an enemy attacks us, instead of making an evade roll, we simply remove the ruin marker and we ignore the attack completely. I am assuming this means we don't have to dodge because it says to completely ignore the attack. So for now I'm going to play it as if you don't have to dodge if you're on a ruin marker. The starting square of this one is 2A, down here. We have a lot of spaces to set up in once again. This time, the Carja is the first player. So I'll draw 5 cards for the Carja. I like to play aggressively, so my Carja is going to be using my Carja Sling this time. I'm going to add a freeze bomb bit of ammunition to it, because you have to use ammo in order to attack with a ranged weapon. The freeze bomb adds a black die, so I have an orange and a black die. I'm going to roll my dice. Yay! I got a critical hit. I freeze him, and I do 1 point of damage. An enemy suffering the frozen condition does not have an armor value for the next attack that targets it. This is actually really beneficial, because my Carja's not done acting. Instead, I'm going to play Follow-Up. After this hunter inflicts a condition with an attack, I move into the same square as the target and perform a melee attack. I did. I caused a condition, so I'm going to move up there, and I'm going to perform a melee attack. And on that attack, I'm going to be playing Blazing Strike. If the target is suffering a condition at the start of this attack, inflict an additional 2 damage. So I am looking to stack the damage. I have my Carja Spear, which is orange-blue, but I already have a +2 damage off that Blazing Strike. 4 damage. That's enough to kill it easily. Also note, I gain an extra glory off this attack because I play the follow-up. So I destroy it. My Carja gets 2 glory, gets a scrap card, or salvage card, and the Watcher is dead. That took a significant portion of my hand, but I think the outcome was well worth it. Then we move on to the enemy phase. Because the only alerted enemy is dead, the 2 Grazers simply begin doing their normal activation, so they each move 1 space along their patrol routes. Now, we go to the Oseram Forgesmith. My Oseram Forgesmith drew his stamina card. I'm just going to play that to get it out of the way in order to get additional cards. Now I have these cards. Oddly enough, last time I got none of the trap cards. This time, I've gotten 2 of them. So let's make some good use out of them. My Oseram is going to sneak for his first action. He's going to move there to there. Then, he's going to do a melee attack. And I'm going to prime the area. Prime the area gives me a free ranged attack, perform my melee attack. The Oseram likes using fire. So I'm going to play the Firewire card. I played my Firewire, and now I lay out the trap tokens. I'm going to place it there, and I mark the ammo on the card itself. Then I'm going to continue resolving my melee attack, and I'm going to use backswing ammunition, because I'm going to have some fun with it. My Oseram Maul has 2 orange dice, and the ammo gives it 2 additional orange dice. I move into the same square as the Grazer, and I roll my dice. It suffers 3 damage. In addition to that, if this attack damages the target, you may push the target. This we're going to have some fun. I push the target 1 square. We've now successfully moved the Grazer onto one of our traps. And whenever an enemy is moved onto a trap square, the trap goes off. The hunter that placed the trap removes the token, applies any effects listed on the trap, and or rolls the dice listed on the trap card, adding extra dice listed on the weapon that placed the trap, so you kind of have to remember the weapon, if it had any dice, which the Tripcaster does not, would add dice to this attack. But the trap card itself has some dice. It has a blue die, and it'll be applying the fire effect, which will also gain our hunter 1 glory, because the Oseram's ability, and it rolls 1 blue die of damage. Now the enemy has been alerted, so at this point in time, I do believe the armor would come into play. It still takes an additional point of damage. And that is the end of the Oseram's turn. We move on to the enemy's turn. We have 1 alert enemy, our Grazer, and the Grazer has no special rules concerning it. Instead, we just go to its AI card. Is there a hunter within 1 square? Yes. They are both within 1 square. But remember, order priority. The Oseram acted most recently. He's the primary target. Move 1 towards the closest hunter. Using A attack, I'll bring this card back up. Do 6 damage, and then move 1 away from the closest hunter. Ouch. He moves in and makes his attack. 6 damage against the Oseram. The Oseram gets 1 blue die, and reduces the damage by 1. So we're already down to 5 damage because of my resist melee weave. This allows him to reduce the damage by 1 from melee attacks. So I'm at 5 damage right now instead of 6. The card is already paying off. I don't feel like I'm in any danger yet, so I'm not going to spend any of my blaze tokens to trigger ablative armor. I'm just going to roll the blue die. 1. My hunter takes 4 damage. I'm going to take all 4 of that damage from the hunter's deck. Then the Grazer moves 1 away from the hunter, which I'm going to play this as I think it should be, and it's going to move towards the board edge because it wants to flee. Then at the end of its activation, the fire token is removed, and it takes an additional point of damage. It goes from 4 damage to 5 damage, which means you get to take out the 4 1 tokens and flip one of the 1s over to a 5. Now we're back to the Carja, because we do not have enough points at this point in time to end the encounter. No one's fainted, but we still need to get more points to end the encounter. In fact, killing that Watcher doesn't help us achieve our victory condition at all. We have to kill both of these Grazers if we want to win. Oh, my bad. I forgot to move the Grazer in the non-alert Grazer. There, he's now moved. That was easy. So back to the Carja. He's going to draw 3 cards. And it has stamina. It's going to play the stamina card immediately to draw a new card. It got hit and run. I do not like hit and run in this battle because we need to keep these stupid things active. We're playing cooperatively, so I'm not going to actually go after the new Grazer. I'm going to try to finish off the old Grazer that's out there. And to do that, I'm going to sneak 1 square. Then I'm going to perform a melee attack as my second action. I'm simply using the Carja's Halberd, orange and blue die. 2. It has armor value of 1, so I inflict 1 point of damage to the Grazer. If you're wondering why my Oseram didn't go anywhere last time, he used his ability on his armor to not have to dodge after making the evade roll. I wanted to stay where the scrap was, or the machine corpse was. My Carja's sly and doesn't want to actually have to take the damage from the Grazer when it attacks. And as long as there's a hunter within 1 spare, the Grazer's not going to wander off the board. So my Carja is going to play hit and run in order to sprint 2 squares away. I'm going to sprint in such a way that it doesn't alert the other enemy. Now the enemies activate. Again, the Grazer that's angry activates. Is there a hunter within 1 square? Yes, there is. It moves 1 towards that hunter. I'm just going to leave it stuffed there because if it finishes its attack, it's going to move back to the same space it was already on. So here we have the Oseram Forgesmith. Again, it's a 6 damage attack, but he's only going to take 5 damage from it. However, at this point in time, I am taking a little bit of damage, so I'm actually going to toss a blaze canister in order to roll 2 blue dice on my evade roll. 4. That's actually pretty solid. I only end up taking 1 damage from that whole thing. So I discard a card off the top of my Oseram's deck. Then the Grazer moves 1 away from the hunter. The other Grazer, non-alert as it is, wanders 4 to square. And now we're back to the Oseram Forgesmith. Smith has 2 cards in hand, draws 3 more cards. We got a lot of new ammo. We got a lot of ammo. But at this moment, what he wants to do more than anything else is get that sweet, sweet salvage. Ooh. Wow. 3 special cards. I'll read what they are during the merchant phase. So now the Oseram's going to make a melee attack using Cleave with the blue die and the fire. Because if I don't somehow roll enough damage with the blue die and 2 orange die, I can then toss my blaze canister to ensure it dies when it activates. Well, we just did 8 damage to it. The critical triggers for 4 damage on the Cleave card, and then we have an additional 4 damage. I do believe the Grazer is extremely, extremely dead. The Grazer, when it dies, results in 1 salvage card. Hey, look, normal. 2 glory for the Oseram. He's going to immediately spend all of his glory in order to shuffle 3 of his cards from his discard pile back into his deck, like a mini crafting. The Grazer has been successfully removed. Unfortunately, we're still only at 3 encounter points. We have 1 more to go. So, we move on to the enemy step. Right now, the enemy does not get alerted because we're not in the same square as it. There's no alert enemies adjacent to it, and no one's been attacked in an adjacent square. So the thing is still blissfully ignorant that we're out here murdering its compatriots. So it goes. We only have this last turn to get it back fighting us, because next turn it's going to flee the battlefield and we're going to fail this mission. So we need to have our Carja, who thankfully gets to activate next, bring this sucker back to the battlefield. The Carja has 4 cards in hand and is going to draw a card. Drew hit and run to stack onto my other cards. The Carja is now going to sneak. I'm going to use my sling combined with a freeze bomb in order to attack the Grazer. This gives me a black and an orange die. I do 1 damage, alerting it, and then I'm going to discard my chill water in order to inflict freeze. By doing so, I can now play follow-up. After this hunter inflicts a condition with an attack, move into the same square as the target and perform a free melee attack. I don't expect to actually kill it and get the glory, I'm just trying to do some damage to it. So I move into the same square, and I've only got an orange and a blue die. 2 damage, which because it now has armor, is reduced to 1 point of damage. So now that my Carja has completed his attacks, he's going to play his hit and run card. Sprint is up to 2 squares. Thankfully it's up to, because I'm not going to go 2 squares. I need to stay within 1 in order to ensure that the Grazer does not flee from the battlefield and make us lose. Instead, the Carja is going to go and hide in the ruins. Oh, my bad. The Grazer actually took 2 damage from that attack because it was frozen. Oops. But anyways, my Carja is going to go hide in the ruins in order to not take the damage when the Grazer attacks him. And I also want to bring the Grazer closer to the Oseram so the Oseram can reach it next turn. So this whole plan is to draw the enemy in. Right now, my Carja is acting as bait. Now it is time for the machines to activate. Again, we go to the Grazer's AI card, and we read the line. Is there a hunter within 1 square? Yes, there is. We move 1 towards the closest hunter. Okay. It now attacks the closest hunter. My hunter discards the ruin token from the battlefield. I take no damage, and I do not have to evade, because I just simply ignore the attack. Then, the Grazer is going to move away. We go to the maintenance phase, and again, we do not have enough points to successfully complete this mission. Instead, we have to continue trudging on. So, the Oseram has 4 cards in hand, and draws 1. Again, I have a lot of ammo in this guy's deck. He really, really likes to load up that hammer for a solid swing. And unfortunately, he's not going to make it into the battle area. So what I'm going to do is my Oseram is going to sprint to there. Then, I'm going to set a trap using my Tripcaster and shock wire. It's only got a range of 1, so I can't get it too close. But I'm going to put it in the same square as the Carja, because the Grazer is going to go after the Carja again. So I might as well apply shock to that area. So, once again, we return to the enemies. We have a Grazer activating. The Grazer is angry, and we all know the same pattern on the Grazer. Is there a hunter within 1 square? Yes, there absolutely is. It moves 1 towards that hunter. The trap then detonates. This trap is a blue die, and it causes shock. 1 damage, because armor applies. In this case, now that the enemy is shocked, it only resolves 1 action, which means it attacks. It's not going to actually move away this time, because it can only resolve the 1 action, which I'm assuming would trigger from the point that it's now at. Since it walked into the square and got shocked, now it only resolves 1 action, which is where it attacks. So, the Grazer attacks the Carja. The Carja has orange dice, and it takes 5 damage only, right? Or it's suffering the 5 damage from the attack, because I have a resist melee wave on him as well. Or her as well. Because the armor is only orange, I use the Carja's ability to gain an orange die, and then I'll discard 1 after I've made my roll. Hey, I'll discard the 1 and take the critical hit. The critical hit value of the armor is 3. So I reduce the damage by 3. Having reduced it by 1, the Carja only suffers 2 damage, which I'm going to take as 1 card from my hand and 1 card from the top of my deck. Once again, we return to the maintenance phase, and once again, not enough points to win, so we must continue onwards. It's time for the Oseram, and I'm going to draw a single card. The Grazer already has suffered 4 damage. I only need to do 3 more, or technically 4 more, in order to get past its armor and kill it. I'm going to attack with a cleave, adding to my Oseram hammer. So I've got a blue die and 2 orange die. I'm also going to apply Searing Strike to it. This ability can be used when performing a melee attack. This attack gains fire and Explodey Fire. I scrap this card afterwards, which means it will not be going back into my discard pile. It'll be going out of my deck until the end of the encounter. We do 2 damage after armor, and we give it the fire token. That was my Oseram's first action. The next action is going to be to craft 3 cards back into my deck. The bottom 3 cards of the pile are going to be shuffled back into my deck. And I'm doing this because the Oseram is getting ready to be hit very hard by this Strider before it dies. So now we go to the enemy's activation. The enemy activates and it attacks the Oseram because the Oseram was the last one to go. Again, the Oseram has a resist melee weave, so the attack is only with 5 damage. So my Oseram defends with a blue die. 2 points. I take 3 points of damage on the Oseram. I'm going to discard 2 cards from my hand and 1 card from the top of my deck. He's fine so far. He's still got plenty of cards. You're wondering why he has a glory now. It's because I forgot to mention when I read the cards when I got off the scrap wreck was really, really awful lot of 3 cards. 2 of them were immediately worthless and not usable, and the other one only gave me a glory. Essentially, that scrap machine wasn't worth a thing for the Oseram, really. Then my Oseram is going to not dodge because he doesn't have to, and then the machine dies from the fire at the end of its activation. Mission 2 is a success at level 2, so I'm going to go to the campfire phase, and off screen I'm going to level up and buy stuff for my character, and I will join you for part 3. Encounter 3, we have 2 level 2 cards and a level 3 card to deal with. I am thinking this level 2 card might be a really good one, because I wasn't able to buy a lot of salvage last time, and I don't immediately need to level up to level 3 already, so I think another level 2 challenge in the middle of this sounds like a really good idea to me. So, let's try some shellbacks and some watchers. We got new terrain, and if we can defeat all the monsters, we get 3 salvage cards per character. Sounds awesome. Let's talk about what the characters picked up at the end of the last round. The Oseram leveled up into durable for phase 2. So because this doesn't count against his action deck size, he also adds in 2 stamina. The only thing he bought because he had less funds than I thought he was going to have was a resist melee weave. And he was able to afford that only because I was able to trade in the old resist melee weave for one of the shards counting. The Carja, when leveling up to level 2, went with Greater Challenge. When this hunter kills an enemy, they gain an additional glory point for each undamaged component the enemy had. Not bad. I mean, it's glory, which we can use to refill our decks, which we could possibly use. But I did buy some more fire bombs for their sling, so they only add 1 stamina card. The other thing I bought was a resist melee weave level 2 for them as well, because I like the resist melee weaves. Melee hurts. And this way, they can resist it a little bit longer. Again, to buy all that stuff, I had to trade in, well, I got the benefit of trading in my old weave to count as a shard. So, hooray! We're ready to move on and lay out the next map. 5A and 1A. Shellwalkers are beefy creatures. They have a rule on the back of their card. Cargo Defender. If its cargo holder has been destroyed, increase all damage this enemy inflicts by 1. It also has 3 components to destroy, which is pretty nice. And in fact, those components are really important to take off this thing, because otherwise it can be quite an irritating creature to deal with. It's also got the large creature icon. So we have 2 pieces of new terrain this time, the rocky outcrops. A hunter gains an additional glory if they perform a ranged or melee attack while on the same square as a rocky outcrop, and either remove a component or kill their target. A hunter in the same square as a rocky outcrop always counts as the most recently activated hunter. Essentially, rocky outcrops make you a bigger target, is what that's supposed to be saying. I'm not sure they're going to be that useful in a cooperative game. I'm definitely thinking the 3 and 4 player variant has got to be a bit more difficult or something. So the Watchers only have a single AI card, but the Shellwalkers have 3. So an enemy with behavior cards, more than 1, will have a shuffled deck that will go face down near the area. It will pull 1 card at a time. Every time it activates, it pulls a card off the top and does whatever the card says. When it's used all 3 cards, it shuffles them to form a new deck. Shellwalker will have its behavior deck there. The Watcher card, I'm just going to, as per usual, keep near me so I can just reference it immediately. Our leadership token has gone back to the Oseram Forge Smith, and I need to deploy my hunters. They can deploy in 7 squares right now around the board. That's a lot of squares. So we're going to flank the Watcher to take him out immediately and move on to deal with the Shell Hunter. Again, in this scenario, you can completely ignore the Watcher if you want to. He's not necessary to kill because a single Shellwalker will result in enough points to give you the scenario victory. But I like to kill them anyways. So we're going to start with the Oseram Forge Smith. He draws 5 cards off the deck. Again, I have a ton of ammo and a stamina card. So let's play the stamina card and see what else I get in place of the ammo. Another ammo card. He will simply play a backswing using his Oseram Maul and attack the Watcher. 4 orange die attack. If I damage it, I get a knock it someplace else. That's nice. Yeah, I'm going to damage it, and I'm going to cause it to have a point of fire on it. Using the critical off the hammer, not off the card. I'm doing that to gain a glory point via his ability, just because it will give me more ability to cycle cards in the future, because essentially the fire is like a damage anyways, so I just think that's worth it. And I have an additional action, which I'm actually going to decline to use. Oh, hang on. I forgot to resolve the other part of my backswing, which is the important part of the card. If this attack damages the target, you may move the target. That was actually my most important thing. So I wanted to make sure I could move it away from the Shellwalker. So I just sent him flying, essentially. Goodbye, Watcher. Whee! So the Watcher activates. There is not a non-alert enemy within 2 squares. So we move one towards the closest hunter, and we make an attack. The closest hunter, they're equidistant. Oseram just activated. Oseram gets precedence, so the Watcher moves back in. And he attacks the hunter for 4 damage. Well, the hunter suffers 2 less damage from melee attacks, so we're only taking 2 right now, and we've got a blue die. So at max, we're taking a single point of damage, or we're taking none points of damage. We just kind of go, haha, whatever, ignoring you. Then the Watcher burns a little bit. He's on fire, or he was on fire, and now he's burned a little bit. It's time for the Carja to activate. Drawing 5 cards from the Carja. Again, we have stamina, so we just play the stamina card and draw, hit and run. Oh, we forgot the Shellwalker. I always do that. I don't know why I do that. Probably because I'm trying to juggle like 2 players with actions at the same time. He's got a very windy blue line that will lead it right into battle with us if we stand where we are. We don't have the most impressive cards this time, so we're just going to attack with the Carja Halberd. So we have an orange and a blue die, and we move into his square. 4 damage. Reduced by the armor of 1, we do 3 damage, which actually means I get to play this card I've been wanting to play all day. Anatomical Precision. After this hunter makes an attack, they may reduce the damage inflicted by 1 to draw 2 cards from the salvage deck, then keep 1 and discard the other. So reduce the damage by 1. I have 3 damage. Armor reduced by 1. 2 damage. 2 damage kills it. So I kill the Watcher. First thing I do is I resolve the Anatomical Precision. I draw 2 cards from the salvage deck. Okay, that one can't even be taken if I want to take it. Wow, both these are truly junk. My Carja wasted his card for literally nothing. Neither one can be taken and used because technically the Anatomical Precision wasn't the killing blow. It was done before the killing occurred. Now I kill it. The Carja receives 1 glory. I'm going to immediately spend that 1 glory to cycle an Anatomical Precision back into the Carja deck, because I mildly miffed that I didn't get to use that properly. So that's what I do with the glory. Then I get 1 salvage card. Hopefully it's not garbage. Hey, look, it's actually something worthwhile. The Watcher's removed, and we gain 1 encounter point, which doesn't really help because we need 4, and the only thing out there is worth 4. We just killed him because he was in the way, and he was worth a salvage card. The important thing to remember is that every action you take exhausts your hunter a little bit towards fainting unless you craft some. So by doing that, I did waste some time. Now, the inactive enemies activate since there are no active ones, and the Shellwalker just goes back to the Oseram. The Oseram still has that hand of 4 ammo cards, so he's going to discard 2 of them just because he wants to see what else he can get in his hand that might be more useful. And what did I add? I added a backswing, stamina, and firewire to my other ammos. So I'm going to toss the stamina to draw a card, and I draw more ammo again. I want to try something. So the Oseram is going to be sneaky right now. The Oseram is going to sneak into the high grass, and then he's going to use Firewire. Using my Tripcaster off my Oseram, I'm going to take Trap 1. That's the end of the Oseram's turn. He's just not being happy only drawing ammo right now. That's not making him an effective combatant. So he's going to hide in the tall grass. Now we go on to the enemy step. There's no active enemies, so we just go to the inactive enemies. The Shellwalker enters and sets off the trap. Again, the Oseram gets a glory for setting a creature on fire because of his ability. which I'm going to immediately spend both those glory to shuffle 2 cards into his deck. Then, the trap has a blue damage die. No damage die off the Tripcaster itself. It takes 2 points of damage and becomes alert. But because the alert enemy step has already been passed, it will not be doing anything this turn. Now to the Carja. The Carja is going to choose to discard 1 card from its hand and draw 2 more. I drew a Stamina and a Blazing Strike. So I'm going to play the Stamina to draw another card, which is another Blazing Strike. So the Carja is now going to sneak into the tall grass. Then we're going to attack the Shield Claw component C using a Sling and a Freeze Bomb. So we've got a black and an orange die. Crit and crit. So we do no damage because it has 2 armor right now, but we do freeze it. This means the next time we attack it, it will not have any armor, and someone else can potentially do some damage to the component or whatever to take it off. Then the Carja is going to play Hit and Run because we don't want to be nearby if possible. We want to let the Oseram take the hit because he's much more bulky. And that is the Carja's turn. Now we actually get to see what an activated or a alert Shellwalker does. We took the first card off its AI panel, or AI pile, and we look at it. Is there a hunter within 1 square? Yes, there is. B weapon does a pulse attack at range 1, doing 4 damage and shocking. So range 1 hits the Oseram for 4 damage. The Oseram this is not a melee attack, so now the Oseram just rolls its blue die. We only take half damage. So the Oseram loses 2 cards. I'm going to, once again, discard 2 cards from my hand because it's just ammo and I don't need that at the moment. Then the Oseram is shocked. Shock on hunters means I cannot play any interrupt cards during my next action. Then it goes away, which is honestly fine for the Oseram because he hasn't been drawing any freaking interrupt cards except for stamina cards. Then the Shellwalker resolves the last line on that card, move 1 away from the closest hunter. That is the furthest away that it can get. Now, we return to the Oseram. The Oseram only has 2 cards in his hand, so we're going to draw 3 cards off the deck, which we get 2 action cards and ammo for the Tripcaster. Again, if you're wondering why my Oseram did not dodge after taking the damage, it's because he doesn't have to. He usually doesn't dodge. He's usually pretty stalwart. Okay, so I'm going to do with the Oseram now. The Oseram is going to take his first action to sneak. Then I'm going to make a melee attack using Cleave, attempting to take off that stinking Shield Claw. So I'm going to play the Cleave card, but before that, but because I play that, I'm going to play Prime the Area. So I'm going to make a melee attack. I'm going to perform a free ranged attack, and I have to place a trap. Thankfully, I drew Firewire. So my Oseram moves into his square, and he gathers his dice, 2 orange and a blue. He has no armor this time, so I'm really hoping I can take that stupid Shield Claw off. I do, because I just did 6 damage. Or no, I can set him on fire instead. I'm going to set him on fire instead, because he'll still do 2 damage, which is enough to destroy it, because he has no armor right now because of the freeze, and I'm going to light him on fire instead. So I'm going to destroy the Shield Claw, which gives me a glory. It reduces his armor value to 1. I place the Broken C on him, and I do 1 damage to him. The freezing is gone because I just used it, and he's now instead on fire. Now the Shellwalker's turn to go. Well, it's pretty simple. Starts off with a conditional. If you can, attack by making it melee attack. So, he will swing and do 1 damage, or range 1, which he's definitely within range of, and do 4 damage. So the Oseram reduces the damage by 2, and he's got the blue die. So he's going to roll the blue die. 1. So the Oseram takes a single point of damage. Take the top card off my deck, and he's taking the damage. Then my Oseram is actually going to dodge this time, because the Shellwalker's not done. His next line is move 1 towards the closest hunter. He's still the closest hunter. The reason I didn't want to move it onto the fire trap is the fire trap would just relight it on fire, I don't want to waste that right now. I want to get him over there later on. So I'm going to drag him away from the trap. I'm not going to move all the tokens with him constantly because he's got so many. And the last line of the card is make a melee attack at 4 damage. Once again, the Oseram already blocks 2 melee damage. Just rolls a blue die and sees what happens. No damage. This time my Oseram is going to run away and go up there. That's the enemy phase during the Oseram's turn. Now we go to the Carja. The Carja has 3 cards in hand. I'm going to discard a Blazing Strike. I drew a Freeze Bomb, a Silent Strike, and Stamina. And then I'm going to go back and remember to do this. Take the fire away and give it 1 more damage. So I'm going to play the Stamina card in order to draw a card. Okay, my Carja is going to do something a little bit weird. My Carja is going to begin its activation by sprinting into the tall grass. This is so I can play Silent Strike. It can only be used if this hunter is on a square containing tall grass at the start of the attack. I'm going to play Silent Strike alongside my Carja Halberd. So I get 1 orange and 2 blue die. That's a pretty solid attack. 4 damage, which is reduced by its armor of 1. So it takes 3 points of damage. It has 4 currently. So I need to put out 7 damage tokens. 1 5 and 2 1s. The Shellwalker is definitely wounded at this point in time, having only 4 more damage to go until it dies. Oh, hang on. I'm going to go back a second. I had Anatomical Precision. So I'm going to reduce that amount of damage I did by 1 and attempt to get salvage cards for my Carja again. I think it's a worthwhile exchange. Well, look at there. We'll take this one because that's actually a good one. Now, the Shellwalker activates. We draw its last behavior card. Cargo holder destroyed. No, it is not. So, 1 melee attack at range 5. 1 melee attack, range 1, doing 5 damage. 2, the Carja, because he's the nearest one. Boy, I'm glad there's a guy next to it. Because otherwise, it would have been a really nasty attack otherwise. Shellwalkers are better to fight with melee characters, it looks like, than ranged characters. So, Carja, 5 damage. I have that improved melee weave, so I reduce it by 2 to 3 damage. Then I roll 1 orange die, plus an additional orange die, and then I discard a single die of my choice. Well, I'll discard that one, reducing it by 1 more. So the 5 damage drops down to 2 damage. My Carja can handle that. I discard top 2 cards of my deck, keeping my hand. The Carja is definitely going to need to craft soon. Then the last thing the Shellwalker does on that card is move 1 away from the closest hunter. Well, as per the other thing, whenever it moves, enemies always attempt to get the most distance between themselves and hunters. So he moves back into the corner. To the Oseram. The Oseram has 2 cards in his hand. Searing Strike and Backswing. Draws 1, 2, 3 cards for another Backswing and 2 Fire Wires. He's going to just sneak up and perform a Backswing for 4 orange dice worth of attack. Wow, if the Carja hadn't reduced the damage it did last turn, I'd have just killed the Shellwalker. As it is, I do 4 damage to the Shellwalker, leaving it with 1 point of health. Backswing is discarded, and the Shellwalker shuffles its deck. Shellwalker goes. And the Shellwalker goes, is there a hunter within 1 square? Yes, there is. So, it will do the top thing, and it will zap him. Poor guy keeps getting electrocuted. So he takes a shock to... Oh, yeah, because we still have B active. So he takes a shock token, and then he will take 4 damage that he reduces by a blue die. So he takes 2 damage. He's doing fine. Then he dodges there, and he's going to discard 1 card from his hand for the damage and 1 card from the top of his deck. And then the Shellwalker does the last line on there, which is move 1 away from closest hunter. Goes there. Card just starts his turn, and he draws 2 cards. He draws Freeze Bombs and Fire Bombs. Yay! Well, the Carja has a range 2 on its sling, which is good because we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to spend its first action to craft 3 cards back into my deck. Just in case I don't kill it, I want to make sure I have plenty of cards, because the Carja is getting low on cards, actually. And then we're going to fire a freeze bomb, just in case we don't kill it. It'll make it easier for the Oseram to kill it. 2 spaces. This gives us an orange and a black die. We make it frozen. That's the best thing we can do. Let's hope that was not a stupid idea and I shouldn't have crafted twice. We're going to find out as soon as we draw this Shellwalker card. Shellwalker card. Is the cargo holder destroyed? No, it is not. So we make a melee attack of 5 damage, range 1, against the Oseram, who's the closest. Once again, the Oseram has improved melee weave, so it reduces by 2. We roll the blue die. We take a whopping single damage on the Oseram. So he'll just discard a card off the top of his deck. He too is getting low. He is down to 7 cards remaining, which is better than the 2 cards the Carja had remaining. Then the last thing the Shellwalker does is move 1 away from the closest hunter. Again, it always stays as far from all hunters as possible. It's time for the Oseram to finish this battle. We have 3 cards in hand. We're going to draw 2 more. We drew a Stamina and a Backswing. So, he will just simply sneak onto the rock and play Backswing with his Maul, giving us 4 orange die on the melee attack. Against a creature that has no armor and only needs to take 1 damage. This should be a killing blow. It's a massive killing blow. We overkill the thing significantly. It dies. The Oseram gains 3 glory, which doesn't matter, but he gains 3 salvage cards, something he desperately needed. He gained 3 metal shards. That ends that combat round. I'm going to go off and do the merchant phase, because they will not be leveling up in this one. I only did another level 2, phase 2, so there's no leveling this time. You have to do a more difficult mission than you've already done in order to level your characters up. Oseram bought a single thing and saved a lot of shards for the or a lot of stuff for the future. He bought a damage coil that says if this attack exceeds the target's armor value, it inflicts 1 additional damage. It's great for him. He's got this big old Oseram Maul that tends to do good damage. The Carja spent all of their currency, bought a health potion, a resist ranged weave, because their armor can have 2 attachments, and a Carja sling to replace the older sling. I'm just going to overlay for simplicity's sake, and add the health potion over to this pile of other cards the Carja has access to. Drawing our encounter card out of the last 3 cards in the deck. They are all messes. Okay, I'm definitely not doing this one. I'm doing one of these 2. I haven't fought Scrappers yet, which could be a lot of fun, but at the same time, this one looks like it's going to be worth a lot of reward, and I want a lot of reward. I want to be able to buy big time on the last merchant deck. So we're going to choose this one right here. It also sets up a nice line, so it should be nice and easy to set up the battlefield out there. So we're going to be doing this one. Okay, that's that setup. Once again, we have 7 squares we can start in the starting hex, starting board. Carja goes first. Okay, what have we got? We've got Freeze Bomb, Anatomical Precision, Silent Strike, Freeze Bomb, and Follow-Up. Ooh, Follow-Up's a good one. Okay, yeah. So we Freeze Bomb the sucker, then follow up with a Silent Strike. Yeah, okay, good. We might actually take the Strider out on the first attack round, because we got a great hand for the Carja. So we're going to Freeze Bomb that sucker to start with. This is an even better one, because now we're 2 orange and black. Hello, Slingshot. Okay, great. We freeze it and do 2 damage. Because we had to do that. We had to inflict that condition. Which is why we liked our die. We had 3 dice for inflicting condition. So we're going to freeze it. We do the 2 damage. And freeze. It becomes alert. And then we play Follow Up. Because we inflicted with a condition. And then we Silent Strike off our Carja Halberd. So we get orange, blue, blue. Move into the same square. And because it's frozen, it still doesn't get its armor. So We're just looking for some really good rolls right here. Boom! That was exactly enough damage. Which is kind of unfortunate. I was hoping to play Anatomical Precision to, you know, get some extra scrap. But I don't care. We just took out that Strider on turn 1 because of an amazing hand. We get a Glory. We get a single piece of salvage. Ancient Chimes. Discard this card to pay any 1 resource cost when purchasing an item during the mission. That's nice. That's... want some card keys? Yay. And we have an encounter point. Yay! I have a greater challenge. This hunter kills an enemy when they gain an additional glory point for each undamaged component the enemy had. I didn't destroy its component, so technically 2 glory. No, not 5. 2. That was a very effective turn for the Carja. So now we go into the machine's turn, and the machines just follow their path. Oseram's turn. Let's see what he drew. He drew a backswing, durable, firewire, backswing, and firewire. Wow. Durable. Draw a card. This card does not count towards the hunter's maximum hand size or action deck size. I think that means I hold on to this. It stays in my hand, and I put it... Okay. Can anyone out there explain this one to me? That's actually why I wanted to put this in my deck, because this card confuses me a little bit. Would I draw another card and keep it in my hand? See, something is missing on here. This card is missing a detail, I think. Someone please let me know. I'll put it in the I'll pin the post. It's too vague. It's a vague card. So the Carja feels like he's too far away to actually do anything effective. So what he's going to do in this turn is he's going to just take the salvage from the machine corpse. 3 cards, a Sparker, chill water, and more chill water. Then he's going to simply sprint forward. Nothing's alerted. Inactive enemies. Okay, now back to the Carja. Drawing 3 cards. We added a hit and run, a silent strike, and stamina to our hand. I'm going to toss the stamina and draw another card. I got another freeze bomb. So we're going to sneak into the rune, and then we're going to fire a freeze bomb at the sucker. And we're going to try targeting that shield coil, or shield claw. See if we can't destroy it. Sneak. Freeze bomb on the Carja sling. That's 2 orange and a black. Okay, I'm going to spend a glory using Prideful, because I want to see if I can't trigger the freeze effect also. Nope, I failed still. I do enough damage, because I'm ignoring armor, to take off the shield claw. This does 1 damage to the walker. It alerts it, and then component C is destroyed. I do get my 2 glory back because I did destroy a component, and because of the way Prideful is worded, I get an additional glory. So I didn't lose any glory to roll that risk. All that I really ran the risk of was possibly not breaking the component. But I broke the component. It reduces his armor by 1. And so now it'll make it easier for the Oseram to pound on it. Now we go to the enemy phase with the Shellwalker. First card from the Shellwalker. Is there a hunter within 1 square? No. No, there is not. So we're doing a range 3, damage 4, AoE shocking attack, provided component B still exists, and component B still exists. Well, the benefit is I just get to ignore that entire attack by tossing the ruin. Nothing actually happens to me from that attack. I just simply toss the ruin away, and we're done. Then the last piece of the card says, move towards the closest hunter. Angry Shellwalker. Okay. The Strider now goes, and I've got to do something about him or he's getting off the board. Crap, I think he's getting off the board. So I'm not going to get the salvage bonus from him. I just didn't play aggressively enough. I almost should have waited a turn to attack the Shellwalker. Wait until it moved down here, then I could double triggered it. Live and learn. I've never played these scenarios this far in. I've just played the early one. Oseram's turn. He has a full hand because he didn't play any cards of his hand last turn. So he's got 2 actions ahead of him. I could definitely go attack the Shellwalker, and there's nothing in my hand that's going to let me get that Strider back. So we're just going to have to go to that Shellwalker. Sneak, because there's nothing else I need to do. And then we're going to do a back swing with the Oseram Maul, and we're going to add a little bit of a searing strike to that. Make it all flammable. We've got 4 orange dice versus armor 1, because the shield claw is broken. So we do 3 damage, and we light it on fire. Oh, 4 damage, because we exceeded its armor value, so it does an additional damage. So 4 damage. He's got 6 health remaining. Okay, Shieldwalker time. Hey, Shellwalker. Melee attack. He's going to attack my Oseram twice. Because he can't move any closer. He's got the first optional attack, which you can do, and he's got that attack. So he's going to attack the Oseram Forgesmith twice in a row. You know what? That's not even a problem. Oseram Forgesmith can reduce the melee damage by 2. Has a blue die. No damage off the first attack. And no damage off the second attack. So, yeah, I'm not scared of Shellwalkers with the Oseram. Actually, it's like I said, its ranged weapons are truly terrifying. Its melee weapon is just a simple melee weapon. I'm shocked it's only a 4. Now the Shellwalker goes. Well, double melee attack on the Carja. Well, yeah, because he'll follow the Carja when the Carja evades. So, yep, here we go. Carja has the improved melee weave, so reducing it by 2. I've got an orange die. I get to add an orange die for my Carja ability. Discarding one of them. Let's roll it. I take no damage from the first attack. Dodge. Shellwalker follows. Hits me again for the same attack. That die rolled off. So I discard 1. And I take 1 damage all total. Which I'm just going to toss my freeze bombs. I don't really... No. I'm going to just off the top of my deck. Stamina. Oh no. That's the Carja done. Carja's enemy phase done. Back to the Oseram. 2 cards in hand. Draw 3 cards. Prime the area. Durable. Stamina. What a load of garbage. Okay, so I can't use any of those because I have shock on me. So it's just going to be a simple cleave. Orange, orange, blue. Doing 4. Subtracting 1 for the armor. It's dead. So that Shellwalker is down for the count. Shellwalker results in 3 glory, which I don't really need to worry about. And it's also worth 3 salvage cards, which is definitely useful for the Oseram. Blaze, Chillwater, and Sparker. No, Blaze and 2 Sparkers. Blaze and 2 Sparkers. And that round is done. I'll go to the level up and merchant phase, and we'll rejoin for the final battle, the Hunter's Call, when we get to finally fight a Sawtooth. Woohoo! Well, we're moving into the Hunter's Call. I finished my merchant phase and my upgrade phase, so I've added a bunch of cards to each deck because I spent every last bit of salvage they had. For the Oseram's upgrade, I gave him the Brimstone Hammer. Because, sure, why not go with an even bigger punchy hammer? I like it. It's nice. Then he bought Blast Wire, Hardpoint Arrow, to go with his brand new Shadow Bow. I'm replacing the old Resist Melee Weave with the next level up Melee Weave, so it reduces some of those damage from pulse attacks, which I don't know if that thing has or not. I bought a new Damage Coil, and a Resist Shock Potion because, well, he was getting shocked so much last time, I thought, why not? Let's buy this thing. That's what he has. I'll be going into the deck and pulling out some of his stamina potions. Well, at least one of them. Because I am adding in 3 new cards, whereas I'd normally only be able to add space to add 2 cards in. So I have to remove 1 card from the deck. The Carja didn't have as much money, but had several items that are allowed to purchase at a discount or to pay for a resource. So they ended up getting some pretty good stuff too. The upgrade cards I took for the Carja are overkill to give me more glory so I can cycle cards better. The reason with overkill and not the replacement spear is the replacement spear seems stupid. It has a critical effect on it and no orange dice. There you go, Lightbringer. It has a critical effect where you do 4 damage and you get to move away with 2 blue dice. I looked at the Carja's deck. There is no way in the deck to get a critical effect. Why does this spear exist? This is a terrible weapon. I would never go for it in the game because it seems like something's wrong about it. It doesn't seem like it should be there. Yeah, 2 blue dice is pretty damaging, but it can never trigger the special effect. My basic halberd can at least trigger its special effect, and that's a level 0 card. Come on. Then the additional things the Carja is getting, a full health potion, because we can have lots of health potions now. Getting Carja Silk's Heavy, That was an awesome get. And the Shadow Sling, because sure, the Carja Sling is nice, but this is nicer. This Carja Silk's heavy are disgusting. With that many orange dice I can roll now, whew. Well, I feel really tanky at this point in time. I've already moved my leadership token over. I got out the Sawtooth behavior cards. Time to shuffle those up. Set everything up. Strider card. Sawtooth card. He's a nasty bugger too. Pursuit. After this enemy damages a hunter with a melee attack, move this enemy 1 square towards the hunter after they have made their dodge. Oh, he is hard to get away from. He is a beast. We'll see what his attacks are like, because we'll see if he's tough. Because honestly, all we have to do is kill him. If we don't even go after the Striders, there's no point in killing the Striders in this one. There's no bonus. They're just there to alert the big dude, I think. Not saying we might not kill them. They're just not the goal. The goal is to score 5 points by killing the Sawtooth. So here we go. Setting my guys up. 5 cards in hand. Whole bunch of nifty stuff. And look, a stamina. We're going to toss this immediately. And draw a new card. And we got a cleave. So we'll play cleave as our ammo on our brimstone hammer, giving us blue, blue, orange. We'll move into his square. Hello, Mr. Horsey. I'm going to jam this into a place you don't enjoy. 3, 4, 5 only? Well, I'm sad by that roll. He's not going to die. Well, he takes 5 damage and is alerted. The Oseram has another action he could take. He's going to fire a shock wire into the same space as the Carja for a little bit of defensive play. Just in case the Strider does something stupid and wants to move there. Or if we get pursued by the Sawtooth into that area. The active Strider goes. Is there another enemy within 2 squares? No. No, there is not. So we move 1 towards the closest enemy. Huh. And then wow, that seems stupid. Okay, well, he's done. The other ones move on their patrol routes. Gotta get that stupid thing before it goes out. Well, as much as I want to finish off that stupid thing right there, I probably should activate the Sawtooth with the Carja, or alert him. We got hit and run, stamina, blazing strike, overkill, and freeze bombs. Okay, that is not a great hand. We'll toss that stamina to get a new card, which is Silent Strike. Here's my plan. I'm going to sneak here, and I'm going to attack using my halberd. Can't use Silent Strike because I'm not in the thingies, and I'm just going to play Overkill as my card targeting it, in the hopes that I generate enough extra damage that I can get the benefit off there. Orange, blue, 3 damage. It only needed, so 1 is ignored by the armor, so we do 2 damage. If this attack kills the target, which it just did, gain 1 additional glory point per extra point of damage inflicted above the enemy's remaining hit point to a maximum of 3. So we get 1 additional glory point. It's just fine. We're really just doing this so we can help the Oseram if we need to refill cards. That's the entire point of that. Sorry. We moved in there, we made our melee attack. So we get 2 glory, and we get a salvage card, which, do I need a salvage card for any reason over here? I'll draw one anyways. Yay! Trophy shot. This hunter gains 1 glory point, then discards this card. This card was not drawn. Yay! More glory. Then, I'm going to play hit and run. After resolving an attack, this hunter may perform a free sprint action. I'm just going to go right there. Right there. Because the Sawtooth is going to come down, and then I can stab it with that Silent Strike, and the Strider is going to move forward. So yeah, I think this is a good place to be. So, we have no alerted enemies. The enemies just move. So now we're back to the Oseram Forgesmith. He has 3 cards in hand. Draws 2 more. Drew Durable again. I don't understand that card. I'm just going to ignore it. It's in my hand. I want to try something for fun. So my Oseram is going to sneak over there. He could move faster, but he's just going to sneak. I'm going to try my Shadow Warbow, because I've never used it yet. And because I drew that hardpoint arrow. See, the Shadow Warbow can use 2 different ammo types, which is really kind of cool. And because of that, it can use this ammo I bought. So I'm going to use that ammo. And I'm going to fire at the Strider. Again, just because I can. I'm trying to, if I take it out, then I'll have to deal with the 1 monster, or the 1 machine, and everything should be a bit easier. So let's shoot him. This bow is amazingly cool. It's got all 3 colors of dice, and then it gets a blue die for the ammo. And it can only inflict 1 condition per attack. But the critical is either freeze, or shock, or do a damage. Okay, that's fine. It's still a handful of dice. Oh, look, I will shock it. It's also dead. 6 points, 6 health. The Strider just and collapses. So, the Oseram gets a glory, gets a salvage card, which is a blaze. Okay. This is where the interesting thing's going to happen. So we go to the unactivated enemy step. Remember how they're alerted. They're alerted if an attack is made against it, if it suffers damage, if there's an alert enemy in the same square, another enemy is attacked in the same or adjacent square, a hunter's in the same square as it at the start of the enemy step, a hunter's in an adjacent square that isn't tall grass at the start of the enemy step, a hunter sprints in an adjacent square. Well, we're in tall grass, so it just walks into our square. Carja's like, hey guy, I'm right next to you. Nothing you can do about me, eh? Good, great, here we go. Carja has 4 cards in hand. It draws 1. Draws another silent strike. How convenient. We are already in the same square as it, and that is tall grass. Time to stabby stab. Silent strike. Blade on top of the Carja halberd. Orange, blue, blue. 4 damage. The Sawtooth suffers 4 damage and is alert. And I'm going to play hit and run. And that is Carja's turn. Now the Sawtooth goes. Now we're going to see what this bad boy can do. The Carja kind of ticked it off a little bit. Trying to reveal the first card. Wow, that's kind of very basic. It makes a melee attack if it can, or otherwise it moves one towards the closest hunter. And then it makes a melee attack at range 1 for 6 damage. I reduce the damage suffered by melee attacks by 2, and then I'm going to roll 4 orange die, discarding one of the die of my choice. I'll discard that die. Then I reduce it by 7, and I take no damage. I'm going to evade, because I have to. Unfortunately, don't forget, Sawtooth follows up. So they're going to be in the same square as me. He's a monster. This is going to be hard to kill, I think. Well, not too hard to kill, but it could really hurt me in the process. Time to go to the Oseram. Got durable, cleave, and backswing in my hand. I'm going to draw a card. I draw Searing Strike. I'm going to throw away durable and draw a card, treating it as if it was just a stamina, because I honestly don't understand that card. And I get Firewire. Wonderful. I'm going to make a ranged attack using Firewire. And I'm going to target that square right there. So now I put out another trap. Then I'm going to play Backswing, because I'm going to hope that I can knock it onto the Firewire. That's the goal. Honestly, that card probably should say doesn't affect large enemies, because that's kind of crazy that I can backswing. Something like a Thunderjaw? Maybe the Thunderjaw has a special rule that you can't backswing it. I'm going to push it into trap number 2 as my goal. 3 orange dice in the blue. Scooch in my melee attack. So do my range attack, do my melee attack. Okay, 4 damage, which exceeds its armor of 2. It's doing 2 damage, plus 2 more damage because of my melee coil, or my damage coil. So I do 4 damage to it. And then I push it. And that trap goes off now. And that trap does blue die plus fire. Unfortunately, I've never gotten a better trip caster. So I'm just using the very basic one, which means it has no dice. I do no damage, but I did light it on fire. But now it's time to go on to the Sawtooth itself. Draws his card. His behavior card. Is there a hunter in the same square? No, because I moved it. Move 2 towards the closest hunter. Okay, I've done that. Followed by a ranged 1 attack for 7 damage. Ouch. Well, I am reducing my damage by 2, so it's down to 5. I'm going to throw away my blaze to roll 2 blue dice, because I think it's probably really valuable right here to avoid as much damage as possible. I reduce by 3, so I take a whopping 2 damage. I'm going to discard 1 card out of my hand and 1 card from my deck. Then I'm going to dodge, and he follows me. Then he takes a point of damage from the fire. 10 more damage to go, and then he's dead. Carja turn. Carja's got 3 cards in hand, draws 2. Oh, and I got the awesome combo. Well, I got an okay combo, but it's good enough to work it. Okay, I'm going to start with a range attack from the Carja using a freeze bomb off the Shadow Sling. I'm going to spend a glory to reroll my roll. There we go. I only do 1 damage, but I freeze him. It's good enough. Then I'm going to use my follow-up. Play after this, hunter inflicts a condition with an attack to move into the same square as the target and perform a free melee attack. This attack kills the target, the hunter gains an additional glory point. I'm not going to kill the target. I'm not going to kill the target at all. But I'm using it to move into the thing and do a melee attack. Right there. And I'm going to do a melee attack with no additional cards except for Blazing Strike. The target's suffering a condition. He is. Then this attack inflicts an additional 2 damage. Sounds good to me. Blue and yellow, or blue and orange. Wow, 6 damage. 6 damage on him without his armor in place. That's good. I have him to 16 out of 19 health. I'm going to now, it's my last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to toss a health potion and put 6 cards into my deck. So I'm going to shuffle these 6 cards into my deck so I have enough health to take whatever punishment the guy decides he's going to dish out, because he's going to dish out some punishment right here probably. Sawtooth card. Is a hunter within 1 square? Yes. 2 attacks, 6 damage each, and then I move away from the closest hunter. So here we go. First attack is against the Carja. 6 damage, reduced by 2 to 4 damage. Carja has 4 orange dice because of his ability. Discards 1 and takes 0 damage. Carja dodges, and now, so, Carja's armor is just bonkers right now. Yeah, the Carja blocks 6 damage. That Carja ability might be one of the best abilities in the game. Then he moves 1 square. Then he moves 1 square from the nearest hunter, going there. And so the Oseram's turn. He's going to draw 3 cards, and he's going to attack the little kitty cat. I'll start off with some Firewire, just because I can do a ranged attack again, just in case I don't kill him with the melee attack. I'll fire that there. Then I'm going to cleave into him. Blue, blue, orange. So I do 2 damage. He's not dead yet. How sad. He has 1 health remaining. We'll reveal his last card. It's actually kind of nice to actually see his last cards. So we actually know what all 4 of them are. Move 1 towards the closest hunter. Then to do a lot of attacking. So he goes nowhere, and he's going to hit the Oseram, follow the Oseram, hit the Oseram. But the Oseram's going to lead him right into the trap. So he might be dying this turn anyways, because he's going to catch on fire, which will expire at the end of his turn. So we're going to kill him this turn no matter what, but he's going to do some damage to us. Okay, Oseram has a blue die, reduces melee damage by 2. So 4 damage right now, 2 damage. Lose 2 cards off top of my deck. My deck is still massive because this guy's got a humongous deck at the end of the game. 24 cards. Go there. He goes there. Trap goes off. He might die before he attacks me. He does. He dies before he attacks me. That 1 point goes through his armor, and he's dead. So, victory. We won. That was actually a lot of fun. I mean, I think there needs to be some sort of scaling, I think, to make it a bit tougher for the number of players. Because when you're cooperating, you can actually do a lot of good when you're cooperating. Especially as one person thinking through the whole thing, even if you're making a few mistakes. You can really cooperate pretty strongly, and you can actually kick some butt. So I'm thinking that maybe you want to add maybe like a point of health per monster to each machine per player over 1. So like if there's like 2 players, you add at least 1 point of health. Or maybe we should be like 2, 4, and 6 health. Make watchers really dang tough. I don't know. Someone should do some experimentation to find out. I don't know, I have to try it with 3 players and see if that actually makes it a lot tougher or not. Maybe 3 players is a sweet spot where it's tough, but not too tough. But as it is, a lot of fun. I hope I got every rule correct this time. I did a few small mistakes, but I went back and corrected them this path as soon as I could. And I don't think I got anything explicitly wrong. Hopefully. Again, if I did, please leave a comment in the comments section, because I'll correct it as best I possibly can. I did enjoy having a full playthrough. I'm sorry you didn't get to see any of the merchant parts, but those are just so long. I wanted to cut them out and make it a much faster video. This is already probably going to be pretty darn long. I may cut it into parts, we'll see. But aside from that, hope everybody had a lot of fun watching this. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'm going to come back with more board games. I got a couple more Kickstarters coming in. I got one that just came in I'm going to do. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. And this is SleeplessRonin saying sayonara.